I have 5 brothers and sisters, and I'm the oldest girl. I have an older brother. When I was 6 years old, I was changing diapers and making formula and rocking the baby to sleep.
Grew up in Akron, Ohio, and we were pretty poor, and my mom was divorced when I was just 6 years old.
I was raised Catholic. I went to Catholic school. We went to Mass every morning. That's just what we did. It was a fairly small town in Kentucky, Lexington. We lived on a dead-end street with a field on the other side, so we had a lot of freedom, mostly because all the mothers in the neighborhood had big families and they didn't have time to really watch us. So we would just kind of run and play and go everywhere. And as long as we didn't get in trouble, then we had a lot of freedom. So it was nice, it was fun.
I didn't have a great childhood, but I had brothers that I really was close to, so I did a lot with my brothers, and I had a lot of good friends. And then when I was 19, I was tired of trying to live in a sort of dysfunctional household, so I went into the Air Force. And that was my way to get out of the crazy house and then also to be able to go to college.
Growing up in Lexington, it was all, everybody got married and had kids, and it was nice. I dated guys all through high school. I always had lots of dates, going to the dances and things like that. And it was fine. I enjoyed it. Went all through college because I was lucky at a university right there in my hometown. But I joined a sorority. So I just did the usual kind of thing that women do. It never dawned on me that there was any other lifestyle.
When I was in high school, I dated guys, but I didn't really want to be with them. It was the right thing to do. Everybody else was getting married, and so I thought, well, if everybody else is getting married, I should probably get married too. So I did, and we were married for 10 years and had 2 lovely daughters, but then I just couldn't keep pretending like that was how I wanted to live.
I never really wanted to get married, how all the other women, and then talk about their wedding dresses. And I was having a good time. I'd date guys, so I'd go out, we'd have fun, but I never really felt the need to get married. Then I met a guy when I was in graduate school and found out he was gay, and that was kind of strange. He was smart and funny and really cute, and we became very good friends. And, it was just kind of in the back of my head, wow, this is interesting. And then I went to visit him in Texas and met a lot of his friends that were gay. And it was just kind of like, oh. And there was this one woman there that I was really attracted to. Really attracted to in a way I'd never been attracted to guys before. And that was kind of when I thought, oh, yeah, maybe this is why I never wanted to get married. And I really fell in love with her. That was the first girlfriend I ever had.
I don't think there was coming out as an option. It just was never even, you didn't have people that you could look to now, or organizations or websites or anything like you can do now, so it was never even an option. And I was pretty sure my family would reject me.
I thought my family would laugh at me and make fun of me because my brothers would always make jokes about, oh, that guy's as queer as a $2 bill and things like that. They were always making comments. So I just moved away and moved to Texas and just kept my whole life secret from my family for a very, very long time. But I created a new family, all my friends in Texas, so it was fine.
I think getting married, that's what I thought I'd make it go away. That it would, if other people could change, I could change too. But I didn't.
No, I didn't. I mean, once all of a sudden it went, oh, so that's who I am. No, never. I think I was worried about a couple of things. One, that I would lose my job. And if I didn't have a job, because I totally supported myself. My parents didn't. I couldn't turn to them, or I wouldn't have turned to them. So I was always worried about making sure I had a job so I could take care of myself, and I didn't want to lose my job. And then secondly, I didn't want to be laughed at. I didn't want to be made fun of, because I took myself very seriously as a teacher. I thought I was good, and then when I became a principal, I thought I did a good job, and I didn't want people to make fun of me or think I was any less smart or competent or whatever than I was.
Well, it wasn't really talked about. Like, there were these, rumors about like certain movie stars and stuff like that. I don't even know what year Stonewall was.
It was the late 60s.
So, there was just the start of there. There was when Harvey Milk was killed in San Francisco and all of that stuff. You didn't want people to know that even that you knew about that stuff, because then they would know you might be like that. So it was very, very closeted. Everybody was closeted.
Your generation is very accepting. It's like whatever.
Some, not all.
But I'd say most. For our generation, it's very interesting because a lot of the people, straight people from our generation who are more conservative, have a brother, a sister, a cousin, a nephew, a niece who's gay. So that's somebody that they know personally, and they know that that person is not crazy and they're just a normal person. And so that's really influenced the way a lot of the conservative people from our generation view things.
A lot of people think it's just getting married. It's not just getting married. It's about 1,200 rights that straight married people had that gay people couldn't have because they couldn't get married. So it's about taxes. It's about all kinds of things. Our life is dependent on if the Supreme Court changes. That could drastically change our life and our rights. Any of the religious right organizations that are out there saying, that we don't deserve and that we should go to hell and all this other stuff. I mean, it's frightening. It's still frightening. We have friends that we golf with now that we belong to a club, and they probably would have never been around gay people. But now they're friends with us. They, very welcoming, and for us, it's straight people that we wouldn't have chosen to be around. But now it's much different. Very, very different.
Sometimes when people get to know you as a person, then they're a lot more comfortable, but I wouldn't start out by going, hello, I'm gay, are you okay with that? No, I just wouldn't approach it that way. My life's too short now. I don't know how many years I have left to spend confronting people that are kind of small-minded.
And I wouldn't confront anybody either, but homophobia, the word means fear. And so it's that they're afraid, that it's not necessarily hate, but they're afraid. So if you could try to find out what they're afraid of, and what is it that they're afraid of, and then try to alleviate that fear, that would be the only way that I would try to make a difference, help them see. The It Gets Better movement is definitely a message that kids need to hear when they're going through this, and that they need to have a trusted adult that they can have in their life. That anybody that's trying to go through it and trying to come out, not that it's easy, because even though in today's society it's better, but as you get older and you have your own resources and you have more confidence in yourself, it does get better. And I think that's the message they need to hear over and over, because the suicide rate is so high.
The tough situation is for those, I'd say, young people, particularly in high school, who are still dependent on their parents, and their parents are very adamant or very conservative or very negative, and that's hard for them. So they just have to find people they can talk to, or a safe place they can go, even at school, and maybe not even antagonize their parents unless they're prepared to move out and support themselves on their own. I had to counsel this one young woman. She was in love with another woman. She was a senior. It was, say, January, so she just had a few months to go until she was going to be 18. and she could kind of do whatever she wanted. And she was living with her grandmother, and her grandmother was very religious, very adamant, very upset. And I kept saying, your grandmother loves you. She loves you. She just doesn't get it. Sometimes you just have to teach them, try to get them to be patient, but that's kind of hard for when they feel like they're right and their parents are wrong, but it's hard.
My dad surprised me when he found out, because he told me he had cancer, and he told me, he said, I found out about you, your mom told me about you, and he said, you know what I've learned, if you love somebody and they love you back, that's all that matters. Mm-hmm. So that was a real surprise for me, for my father.
We met on a golf course. Are you surprised? A mutual friend was getting a group of women together to play golf one Monday afternoon, and she and I were both part of that group. We'd probably met before that at the softball games and stuff, but I don't remember. You don't remember?
Nope.
No. So we played golf together that afternoon, and then she wanted me to go to lunch with her, but it was raining that day, right? No, she always says I get the story wrong.
No, but
She thinks I dissed her.
you did.
I did,
You were too busy. You had to make Jello shots for some party you were going to.
probably.
So then we went golfing on a date, and then we've been together 22 years.
I'm proud of our relationship, Anita's and mine, that we've had a lot of ups and downs, and we've still managed to work through stuff and have a good relationship. And I'm real proud of that, because I think it shows patience and love on both of our parts.
When you deny yourself, you deny who you are, and you internalize that homophobia and that hatred, somebody that hates themselves and who they are, I don't think they can raise happy kids. I don't think they can be. So I could just picture what it would be like, just by the people that I know that hate who they are and hate their lives.
Grown-ups can change. Not everybody stays rigid, and that maybe when I was just in college, we had moved, or maybe it was in high school, we had moved across town to a bigger house, a new house. And my mom made a comment about if black people, African American people, moved into our neighborhood, the property values would go down. And all of us kind of looked at her funny. 10 years later, I reminded her of that statement, and she said, "Oh, Pattie, I never said that. You're just making that up." I said, "No, I mean, really, you said that." "No, that is the silliest thing I ever heard of. What are you talking about?" So it was amazing. And at that time, one of my brother's friends was living at the house for about 6 months, and he was an African American young man. And then she started working at the lab with a young man, with the doctor who was gay. So she and my dad started going to parties at his house. So it was really interesting to see how they kind of evolved. And my dad was very much of an Archie Bunker. I don't know if you know it, but he was, always screaming about the hippies and the long-haired hippies when, during the 60s. So even he could change.
Yeah, I didn't come from a very loving household, and I wanted to make sure my kids knew they were loved, and I see now how they make sure their kids know that they're loved, and that they want, both my daughters want their kids to be their true selves. Mm-hmm. And I think that's probably the most important thing, is that they're loved and that they're true to themselves.
I just want to continue to live the life that I'm living now, which is filled full of activities that are interesting and fun to me, that I stay healthy, and so that I can enjoy living the life that we have for as long as I can. So I guess that's my dream.
A lot of times I'll say to Pattie or other friends, sometimes I have to pinch myself, because I am kind of living my dream. I have, for myself personally, have a good life. Never imagined I would have the life that I have right now. So I've got a very good life, and got healthy kids and healthy grandkids.
Be patient, listen to your heart, and find something that you just love to do. Because you're going to be doing it for a while.
Yeah. The dream for the world would be a place where people felt safe and where they could be true to themselves. I don't know that we'll get there in my lifetime, but hopefully we get there in your lifetime.